Hi, and welcome to the Flex with Aaliyah. Today I'm talking about brain stimulation, that brain power. Oh, I love challenges, thinking outside the box, and I utilize my phone and games online to help stimulate that deeper thinking, tap into the creative side. And that's what this podcast is about, is games I play and apps that I download on my phone to help keep my brain stimulated. And if you're curious what they are, or you want to start looking into these games, take a listen. As always, I'm going to start things off with a quote. The brain is like a muscle. When it is in use, we feel very good. Understanding is joyous. And I know for me, when something is challenging, I really like having that thought process of figuring it out, having to do the work, the mental gymnastics of coming up with the answer, the why or how, the connection. And it feels good. I feel like my brain's done some work. I actually feel smarter. It's very stimulating having completed something that was challenging compared to easy. There are certain games that are super simple that I particularly love, like word searches, which trains your eye to find words in a jumble of letters. They do have them online, but I actually hate playing those ones online. I have books, the word search books. And there's different categories. So sometimes it's like Greek islands, and it's not typical letters that you would pair together. Whereas if you were thinking of green vegetables, you already have an idea of what some are: celery, cucumber. So you're scanning the letters looking for words that jump out at you that you already know. Whereas the Greek islands or director names aren't as familiar. It takes a little bit more brain power to search and find, especially when they put them backwards or upside down, not upside down, backwards or on a diagonal upside down. Oh my God, every time I say upside down, I just mean in reverse. That means instead of going from left to right, it's right to left, and a word search, that still counts. But those are probably one of my favorite. And another one is looking at a couple letters. It could be 7, 10, 5, and you have to come up with as many words as you can of these letters. You could just Google word games and you'll have plenty of games like that populate. There's one I used to play way back when, and these chickens laid eggs, and you'd have to use the eggs and reorganize them to make as many words as possible. They just did it in a creative way. There's another one where it was sharks. And I just find those fun, and I love words. So trying to create as many words, usually it's at least 3 letters. And then for certain games, you want to acquire 10 3-letter words, 7 4-letter words, 5 5-letter words, and then there's 1 6 or 7-letter word. And you're trying to get all of those filled in the time limit you're given. It's a fast-paced game, which is why I like it, and makes me think quickly for words. And they don't always have to be hard. However, when you get to those longer words and you have to use all the letters, then it's a little bit more trying depending on your level. Another game that I actually have on my phone, I used to only do it on the computer. It's from Lumosity. Now, I like training my brain, but it's because I find it fun that I actually do it. No, I don't pay for this subscription. I'm not that much of an enthusiast. I do the free version where I don't get to choose the game. I get a certain selection of games every time I go into it. And it shows you the same 3 games throughout the day. And the next day, it changes the games. There are certain ones that I love so much better. And Lumosity says that it does train the skills that matter to you. So you can choose, is it math? Is it reaction, quick thinking, and it gives you particular games tailored to what you want to work on if you pay for it. If you don't pay for it, you just get what they give you. And the reaction time ones are probably my favorite. There's one that's a train game, and you have to match the colors of the train to the station. They have to link up. But the caveat is the railroad pathways changed. You have to link up the railroad to get the train to the correct station. And it's like a maze. You might have some that go up, some that go down, some that go straight and then branch off. And you have to continually change the pathway to ensure the train gets to the right station. And the higher levels have more trains and they come out faster. And that one sounds silly, but it's actually really fun. And it's harder than it sounds when you get to the highest level. Another game that I like is a math one. They have two math ones that I particularly like. One is called Raindrops, and you have an equation come down in a raindrop, and you're trying to prevent it from hitting the ground, so you have to solve it. Initially, the problems are easy, like 6 plus 6, 12 minus 2. There's division, there's subtraction, addition, multiplication, and the raindrops get faster. And the equations get harder. It's a little stressful because I hate when the raindrops get so close because you're given, I think, 3 levels. So one hits and then the water level rises. If another one hits, the water level rises. And a third one hits, the game's over. And I like that one because it works on my math skills and I don't have to do too much math in my job, just lifting math. But this helps me stay on top of it so I'm not so far behind. The other math game is you have to look at 2 different equations and click whether they're equal or not. So you have one on the left side of your screen, one on the right side of the screen. You might say 4 plus 4, 4 times 2. And you have to quickly decide if they are equal or not. But you could have one that says 4 times 2, 8 divided by 2. And as you're going quickly, you might click the wrong button. But that's a fun, fast one because the better you are, the faster you can click, which is partially reaction time, and you also have to be thinking and doing the math. I do have to say my favorite one is a reaction one, which is called brewing company, and you are technically a barista, but you're given a visual and different coffee items pop up, which sounds silly, but I enjoy it. It could be a sugar, a cream, a chocolate, or a cinnamon stick. It could be a single one or a double of any of those. And then you have to click to your right screen or to your left screen and make those ones that you saw in the waiting line. And you have to do it quick because the better you get, the more orders you have to complete in the same amount of time. They never give you any more time. It's always 2 minutes. There is no higher level than the one I'm at. So it's always just now trying to do it as fast and best as I can. But that one's probably my favorite. I could stay on that game all day. The other game is a memory game. You have a grid and boxes light up and you have to click exactly the right number and sequence of boxes. The better you get, the more boxes light up and the configurations get harder. Then, this is one that I have on my phone. It's the New York Times games. Again, I do not pay for it. I do the free version, which means I don't get any stats, but I don't need the stats. And the New York Times games is a collection of casual print and online games that obviously the New York Times publishes. They have an assortment of games, but there's only a couple that are my favorite. They have word and logic games, and then you can look up past puzzles if you're a member. You can see stats, and then get helpful tools. I just get what's given to me each day, and no stats. I can remember. I just enjoy doing it. I don't need the stat. My favorite game on that one is called Connections. And it gives you 16 words. And of those 16 words, 4 sets of 4 go together. They're linked together by a connection. Or if you want to think of a category, it could be a category, but it's not always. Sometimes it could be words that start with a body part. Or it could be homophones where it sounds like C, S-E-E, is like the letter C, but it's a word. And it might have 4 words like that. It could also be, there was one where it was alpha, delta, and 2 more obscure words in the, I'm going to butcher this, but the military alphabet. So when you're spelling things out, they'll say alpha, delta, bravo, whatever, and they all have, each letter has a word given to it. The one today, it was Yankee players, but when you first looked at the board, you thought it was for sure going to be something with Disney because you saw Mickey, you saw the word goof, Jasmine, and something else where you were like, ooh, these are a Buzz. So you're like, ooh, Buzz Lightyear, Mickey Mouse, Princess Jasmine, Goofy. But before you click those, because you could get it wrong, you're given several attempts, you have to make the correct connections. And it has an easy, moderate, hard. And that game is so fun. When the first time I did it, I was like, nah, but now thinking about it, oh my God, I love it. That's one of the games I play in the morning after I do my first class. It's my little downtime while I'm eating breakfast. The other one on the New York Times that I like, it actually was in a beta phase for a while. Pattern, something like that. And it looks like a word search. If you remember, I said I love word searches. But you're trying to get the category. So it gives you something at the top. It could be finger looking good. That's just the topic. And initially you might be thinking words that relate to chicken, things that KFC sells. And you have to find those words without a list of words. And then you have one that's the golden word that connects from one side all the way to the other side of the grid, which is the main topic. So what they give you is just a clue to start searching for words. I really like that one because I love word games. And then the other one on New York Times that I really like is Wordle. But out of all of those that I listed, connections, patterns, Wordle's the least favorite of those ones. But they have a couple others that are way down the list. And Wordle it's almost like Lingo, if you've ever watched Game Show Network. And it has 5 blanks across, and you have 5 attempts to get the word. And you type in a word, a 5-letter word, and if it's in the right spot, like the letter's in the right spot, it turns green and it reveals the letter. If it's a correct letter but in the wrong spot, it turns yellow. So green for correct letter in the right spot, and then yellow for the correct letter in the wrong spot. And the other ones would just be gray. And you have 5 attempts to get the word. The other day, it had skiff. And man, when there are double letters, it really trips you up. But it really makes you think about letter combinations, what can go with what, and I enjoy that game. So if you're looking for something to stimulate your mind, try the New York Times games. Try some of the free games on Lumosity. Another game that my boyfriend and I play, it's a word game where there's 2 divisions. One is normal and one is hard. You're just guessing. So I could pick a word in the middle of the alphabet, like llama. Doesn't matter how many letters or whatever. I'm trying to find the word. It's almost like hangman. but they don't reveal any letters. So I say llama and it says before llama. So then I say bucket, it's after bucket. And it gives me an in between. I keep trying to narrow it down until I find the word. And that's the normal one is sometimes relatively simple. And then when you do the hard word, man, they got some hard words. That one's really fun. I don't remember what it's called. It was a link that my boyfriend's daughter had sent us, and then we started playing it. That's a great game. So if you want that, I can tell you what the link is when I'm not on the podcast. So check out some of these games and expand your mind. Like the quote said, the brain is like a muscle. When it is in use, we feel very good. So even when I'm tired, I like these games. Sometimes they take me a little bit longer because I'm a little slower, but they're really fun and enjoyable. Thank you for tuning into the Flex with Aaliyah this week. I will see you later.